everyone. We're back with number two in the series I began titled The Individual Sharing Their Divine Story. So, the intentions with this is to give the opportunity for others to share their story online with everyone. So, having said that, I do have a list ready, and for the most part, I keep very busy, so we don't schedule. I do not schedule when we will have one. It's more impromptu. So today, Alyson Thiessen, and I believe I'm pronouncing that correct, is going to come on and share her divine story. And with the divine story, it's a sharing of your miraculous or profound experiences uh, that you have divine. And in these most important times, it's important for all of us to share these beautiful stories because the fact is, so many has had these beautiful experiences and divine interactions, and we are in these great times where it is essential to share it with all, to validate and show more of the reality of the most glorious times we are in the least. So, having said this, this is a great way for to also create more community and more and more unity with us all coming together at this time. So just waiting for Alyson to come on here. She should be on very shortly. And we will have show number two. So I keep these about 30 minutes duration so they don't get too long. And pretty much 30 minutes or 33 minutes can um, one can share, their story at least. And I know we have many stories that we can share, but the most profound and prominent story and experience that coming into your divinity and your introduction to more of that. Yeah, okay. Just having a scroll up here. Still waiting for Alyson. Should be here shortly. And I believe what we'll do is I don't I don't prefer editing anything, but sometimes if we get a little bit of this speaking in it, it may get edited as Rick Vornbrook. He will be taking these and putting them on YouTube as well, and as we make a collection to share with the rest of humanity and, of course, with our divine brothers and sisters. So, just still, this is relatively new the way we're doing this, and it requires a phone uh, to do it. It cannot be done from a PC, so each one has to have a phone to be able to do the live in this manner that I'm doing. And such an amazing day, everyone, and lots of energetics going on. What I will say is uh, Ama Grace is doing a very great, important transmission today with many. So many are participating in that as well. And so many ongoing, empowering energetics for all at this special time. Yeah, everyone is welcome, and thank you all for being here. And let me just check something. I should be able to, just to assure that there's no complications with Alyson getting in here. Just stay okay. There you are, Alyson. I see you. Ed. Okay, so we're just waiting for Alyson to join. And there she is. Woohoo!
Hi.
Hello, sister. Can
Hello.
you hear me okay?
Totally. Totally. Thank you so much. Yeah. Can
Wow.
you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. I love your Pleiadian aspects booming right out to I. Cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. And yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
you're in Alberta, Canada, isn't it, Alyson? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm right in the middle, right in Red Deer, Alberta, right on a very major, grid. I know you're familiar with the province, and yeah, I've been here many times in this particular incarnation, and I recognize that I'm supposed to be here for a reason, and I get that divine calling now, which makes it a lot easier to live in the minus 50s sometimes.
Yeah. What's the temperature today? I saw minus 20 up in Drayton Valley area.
Totally, and that's only a couple hours away. That's where my partner was staying last night, and it was minus 20 last night. But we had a minus 44 wind chill day already in November, which was odd. But the shifts are everywhere, right?
Yes,
Weather is
yes,
included in that
yes.
as well. So we just keep going on, knowing that we're totally safe and we're totally okay.
Absolutely, yes. And we're entering just so much more exciting times and dimensional space. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So,
There's start no end. There's no doubt to that. And just when you think you've gotten to the conclusion, it's like, oops, new direction.
there's more. Yeah, indeed. So, if we may, then, Alyson, what is your divine story? What do you wish to share? With let's say, so where we have it divine, what we wish to focus on is introduction to the angelics, to the divine self, prime creator, awakening, and all of the everything that the awakening and divinity and the ascension, uh, everything that it entails, if you will. So I'd love to
Perfect.
hear your story as well as everyone else, and we'll be doing more with individuals coming on and sharing and validating how real this is. So
It
it's
certainly
your
is real. And I wouldn't have known any differently had I not woken up, like truly woken up. And what I mean by that is, as a child, I knew I was different. Like I did, same story, right? I didn't fit in. I was bullied, but I was also the bully. So make no mistake, I played both roles. I was the big kid. I was the fat kid. I was the tall kid. I was the loud kid. I was just the kid that just couldn't find a crack, but I found myself. And what I've determined this year is that I really have been listening. I can see the guidance the whole way. There are no mistakes. There are no wrong turns. There's only learning and experience. And that experience and learning just keeps getting foundationally stronger and stronger and stronger. And the
Mhm.
interesting thing is, my story, I tell very rarely. Very rarely do I tell anybody about maybe who I am, where I've come from. Number one, it doesn't come up very often, right? And like number two, it's becoming less important than my now, right? But it's a very important foundational piece because I came here to master the body. I came here to master the body and the emotions corresponding that. I thought I was cold and calculating, that I'd be fat and unhealthy my whole life. That couldn't have been further from the truth. And what I discovered in this process is that the self-hate partly came from the fact that I knew I could do better. Like I knew I could be this, you know, I could be a size 10, 5'11". I could be athletic. I could be better. And I didn't know how, right? I just had no idea how, because without the higher mind, discipline just became abusive to myself. But with the higher mind and the higher heart, discipline became self-care. And it became smaller, you know. It wasn't like I'm never eating whatever again. I ate whatever I wanted. I had a Slurpee every night. Like that part actually came pretty easily. But what ended up happening was in 2017, I hadn't woken up yet. I had no idea we were being fooled. I had no idea. Like I knew something was definitely not right with this world, but I had no idea what it was. And I did know inside it was scary. I did know inside that it would alter my life if I knew. And so I understand why I couldn't wake up, because my body wasn't ready. I would have fractured into a million pieces. So in 2017, on March 5th, I'm like, I don't want my whole story to be fat. And I just started walking. I just started walking and just started trying and started fasting, which turned out to be super divine to detox my body. And I didn't know that totally at the time. Like I knew it scientifically, but I didn't really understand like fasting for years and years and years, which I do. I fast every day, really was going to help bring that lightness back into my mind, body, heart, soul, spirit. So I'm doing this with my partner and he's growing with me. I didn't ever use the term twin flame, and I still am very hesitant to ever use it, but he is the person I've grown the most with ever. He's the person that's allowed me to explore all of these various facets. And he might not have liked them, just like I don't always like all of his, but I accept them because they're necessary and they're vital. It's vital. I see the vitality of having a true partner right at this time where like I can never put the mirror down. It's just never an option to get overly delusional anymore, because this one will come right up into me and be like, yeah, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, damn it. I was on a good ego trip and it's not going to happen. But it's been really great to have that built-in accountability. So as I'm losing a little bit of weight, I'm also noticing I'm not changing. I'm getting more depressed. I'm getting more tired. And I'm thinking, this isn't supposed to happen. I'm supposed to lose weight and then like, oh, I have so much energy. I feel so good. I didn't. I felt like garbage the whole time. And I'm like, why don't I feel better? I feel worse. My 50th birthday, 2018, April, I was like, I'm done. Like now I've lost 100 pounds and I still don't feel better. That's like was urgently disappointing that that wasn't happening for me. So in 2018, in October, my daughter came to me at the beginning of October, and she's an adult, but she was having problems with getting bullied online. And I said, I'll help. So I phoned a friend who's in social media, and I kind of took her under my wing. And it was my last extremely codependent act of my last incarnation because I did too much, right? I get that. And I actually told myself, well, maybe I had to do that because I didn't have enough goodness in me and I had to do this really great act for my, no, that wasn't it at all. It just was the timing of it. But at the end of October, I was out for dinner with my partner, an early dinner. We weren't drinking, we weren't doing anything. We were driving home and we're like kind of in the country going towards Sylvan Lake. And I just keeled over. I just exited. And Jim looks next to me and notices I'm out. I don't pass out. I don't ever just have episodes. I just don't. I'm always right here. And he pulled the car over because I wasn't coming to. He was pushing me and shoving me, apparently. Wasn't coming to. So he pulls the car over and starts yelling at me to wake me up. Didn't work. Nothing worked. And he was panicking. And he like apparently threatened to call the police. I'd like, just dude, wake up, please. We don't know if I was dead. Like, he didn't check breathing and all of that, but we don't know what happened. 5 minutes later, I came to. I don't have any recognition of what happened, and I have no memory of where I went. But when that happened, everything changed. Like, I knew I was on a bit of a change. It just got so intense, so real. Within a week, we decided to move to the country. We were living in a condo on a lake. Now we're going to move to the country. And the moment we start looking, just stuff is there. So we moved to the country. And then I get diagnosed with lupus. And I'm like, no, that's not happening either. No. So I said, no, I don't want your care. I don't want your follow-up. I'm going to deal with this on my own. So November 2018, I get diagnosed with lupus. I look it up in Louise Hay, and I just went, self-hate no more. Self-hate no more. And so, of course, that took time. And I don't have moments of self-hate anymore, but that communication still plays. And it is totally up to me whether I want to pick it up or not. Like, it will be there like a flash, and I will be like, no, that's not happening today, because it was really learning to love myself the way I am, straight up. Emotional. I'm a bit of a drama queen. I like intense things. I like being a hermit. There's certain things I just really like, you know? And the more I started appreciating those things about me, the more my life opened up. And it became less important to be a hermit and more important to start getting this energy out into the world. But that took 4 years, because after the near-death experience, I became extremely disassociated for probably 3 years. Like, gone. Where is she? Where is she? I would even say to my kids, I don't even feel like your mother anymore. And that was devastating for them. And I wish I could take that back, but I can't. And it's out there. But I just had no recognition of who I was. I'd phone people and ask them, was I alive? Like, I had no idea. And then concurrently is this huge autobahn of information downloading every single night, up to like 8 hours. And it's like, oh my God. Like, the first year, 2019, all we did every night is go through how to get out of this dilemma. And this is pre-COVID. And we went through every scenario. We could do this, we could do this. And I'm like, why do I have to do this? I know why I had to do it, because I had to know it for myself. But it was intense and disconcerting, and I didn't know who I was. And so this continued even into this year until I had a break. And this break happened at the end of June. And my victim narcissist cycle had to end. It had to end. Even saying the word, it had to end. And I didn't know how to end it, because the projection field was so strong that they were wrong. And I couldn't see beyond my finger pointing. I couldn't see beyond the projection of what was occurring. And so I ended up living in my car for 13 nights and just leaving. And I had no idea where I was going. And I knew it was important, but I didn't know why. I just had to do it. And I ended up in Calgary quite a bit, and I had to keep driving. They're like, you have to now go weave your old life. And I'm like, what? Yeah, go. So sorry, it's making me really emotional to talk about that. I don't talk about those 13 nights very much because I didn't want it to become the big story.
But so significant, though, such an important transitioning time, and also being introduced more into a higher level of divine service.
Yeah.
It's so significant.
So significant. And so I drove all those streets, and I kept getting led to lay by rivers. Go lay by a river, go lay by a river, go lay. And I'm like, another river. Okay. And formerly, excuse me, I didn't really like commotion, cities, noise. And when I found myself in Calgary laying in a park or by a river, all I could hear was the symphony. All I could hear was the beauty of the mechanics moving together, the beauty of the people and everything moving together. It all felt so beautiful. Like everything in those 13 nights felt so beautiful. And don't get me wrong, I had many afternoons of grief, but never evenings, which was so beautiful. I never went to sleep in my car crying, but I would cry in the afternoon and just release that grief. And then I ended up in Bragg Creek for a couple days up in the backcountry. That was amazing. And I had lived in Calgary 20 years prior. That's where I had my babies. That's where I got married. And I kept going to Bragg Creek 20 years ago, and I never knew why. I'd literally drive to Bragg Creek, get a coffee, and go, what am I doing here? And I'd go home. That happened a lot in my life, where I'd literally wake up in my car going, what am I doing here? And I'd like look at my hands and be like, whose are these? What am I doing here? Whose body is this? Like, it was like, what? I still don't totally understand that, but I do get that I was, I don't want to say, I wasn't on the wrong timeline. I was on the perfect timeline. But just, only having 10 to 15% of my DNA active, I couldn't even reach for what could be true. I couldn't even try to cognize that, especially with my health the way it was, even though a doctor could never find anything wrong with me. Even at 350 pounds, they'd say, you have the stats of an athlete. And although this lupus thing ended up breaking through, it's funny, it broke through right at the end, right? Only to be healed so very, very quickly, right? But I know that the health thing would have been the body, like, even now, I know for myself, my journey is maybe slower than some, because I can only go as fast as my body will let me. I can only go as fast as I can hold certain frequencies. And for 3 years, I couldn't be around anybody. So what I ended up doing, because I needed to earn some money to live, we're very fortunate. We own our own home. We have a piece of land. Like, we don't have tons of expenses. We live so simply and buy used clothes, and it's not hard. So in that, when it's not hard, you can take any job. So I thought, well, what job would do best for me at this time? Because it's below the waist that I carry the density. And my theory on that, I might as well tell you, I found out in 2014 that I was exposed to high amounts of DDT as a baby and in utero. And that was because I lived in Manitoba, and they were really big into spraying and fogging for mosquitoes at that time with DDT. And when you look up the symptoms of DDT poisoning, I had them all. But of course, nobody gives a shit, and nor should they, because there's only one way to detox it. So a couple months ago, I was sitting on the couch pondering it, and I recognized that the vibration of DDT is the same vibration as shame. So when I get a shame moment coming, and I had one yesterday, all I'll say is, yes, thank you, DDT. It looks like another little package is coming out. And I would venture to say all of us have some type of poisoning, or had some type of poisoning that has an emotional component that must be processed that way. And then it can be allowed to exit. Because the message I got from my highest self when I wanted to lose weight was, it will kill you. And I thought, well, it did. It killed my ego for sure. But I knew that there was that element of toxicity that was going to need to come through. So I took this job at Costco, and I managed the flowers and I have no boss. I have like a digital nanny. It's the best job ever because like I only go with excellence, right? So what I do with the rest of my day, I don't care because that's like the job is excellent, how I perform it is excellent, my attitude's excellent. But the real key is I get to walk 10 kilometers a day and get functional movement that moves all pieces of my body in an organized way. And I have to keep my state, right? And so what you don't know about me, Rick, is that for 20 years, I was an award-winning mortgage broker with a large team in Alberta that won every award in Canada. And I loved pieces of it for sure. I couldn't stay in that industry for obvious reasons. The lie became so apparent to me, even as an unawakened human. I just knew there is something so rotten here. I cannot be a part of this anymore, even though the money was amazing. I could make so much more money in so less time than I do today. And like I told my boss the other day, I don't work for the money, dude. Right? Because it's really interesting when you level the playing field. Like I told my girlfriend this week, I'm like, what do you want to learn? If you're willing to take minimum wage, you can learn anything you want to learn. Just most people aren't willing or able to do that, but I am. So it's really neat at 50, almost 55 years old, to have had this peak business experience, which is not lost or gone, and now be going in on a different level, on a different initiation level, and starting somewhere else and seeing how things really work and how the system really works. And that AI has been in charge for a long time. It's kind of like I laughed to myself yesterday. I'm like, oh, that Costco manager, he doesn't order stuff. He doesn't order stuff. He doesn't go through stuff and check off a list. And that's all done. Like that's been done for years. This whole supply chain moves on its own. It's not like humans are really doing anything with it. And it's obvious when I'm at Costco how it all works. Like people complain to me at my stand all the time how Costco moves stuff all the time. And I'm like, dude, what do you expect? This is a city that's built and destroyed every day. Like, so it's been really fun to see that because I grew up also with a silver spoon in my mouth. I grew up with money and privilege and education and all of it. I wanted to work at McDonald's when I was 16, and my dad said, no daughter of mine is going to flip burgers. And I understand now, like I needed that initiation so badly. So I'm getting it now, and who knows, my next minimum wage job could be McDonald's or Tim Hortons. It doesn't matter. It's where Spirit Source wants to lead me for my highest potentials. And when like I don't have to wrestle with patience anymore. It's not even, I don't have to say I need to be patient because it's not about that. It's like this path, just one step is the next step. It's not, you don't get to see the steps because you wouldn't do it if, like, would I have gone and lived in my car for 13 nights if I would have seen it in advance? No. Monkey mind would have gotten in there. Ego would have convinced me otherwise. And no, I followed the signs and they all led me to where I was going. And so I take that same approach here because I'm not impatient for money or status or any of that. I'm just walking this path in true faith, knowing that the messages I'm getting, I can trust for me.
If I may, like, can you give us an example of one of the most profound messages or directions that you have received thus far?
Probably one of the most life-changing ones was when I found out I was an Emerald Order grid keeper. When I found out that I was actually needing to hold these grids. And one of the messages I got this summer when I was in Calgary, oh, that's it. It was the first night I was in Calgary, I slept on the street downtown. And former Alyson was a 5-star girl, right? So here I'm in my, car in downtown Calgary, wondering, how am I going to do this? So I laid on my stomach because my solar plexus was incredibly sore that day. And they said, okay, lay on your stomach. Now hook into the highest grid in Calgary, the highest timeline grid in Calgary. Hook into it. And I could feel it. And then they said, now feel this. You're draining all of what just occurred. Everything is now draining. This is the fastest grid in your province to take care of this, and it will be fully taken care of. And it worked. It was amazing. I slept like a baby and woke up, and solar plexus was cleared, sacral was cleared. And so I kept calling in that grid, hold me, keep me. Everywhere I went in Calgary, it was like I had wings. There was just no problem anywhere I went. So I took that knowing, and when I came home, and I brought it here and started calling on the Red Deer grid and the Black Faults grid. Well, it turns out the Black Faults Lacombe grid is the strongest grid in Alberta. They said that can hold you anywhere you go, because we have a point here which we've researched, and it came in last year, that this point, I don't know if you know, the Lacombe Highway, it kind of moves out of the way, and there's a hill with a large Christian college on the top, which used to be something else. That anchors that grid. And so as I'm doing this grid work, they had me call on Edmonton grid, and the Edmonton grid was nasty. And they're like, yeah, this is a nasty grid, but if you come to Edmonton soon, we'll install it better for you. So we had an opportunity to go to a concert 10 days ago, went to Edmonton, still nasty, but a better installation. Then Alberta grid came online for me. And then 2 mornings ago, the whole Canadian grid just popped in. And so, the grid work is the stuff I do, and I think about it, whatever I'm doing and where I'm going. And it is why I got to put miles under my feet too, sometimes.
Absolutely. Bashaw, it was a very, and still is, a very important energetic point there in Alberta. And yeah, and I'm so grateful to hear you of doing this work as well in Alberta and others. Yes, beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, the Bashaw area, there's a portal just northeast of there where we drive to go see Jim's mom. And there's generally thousands and thousands and thousands of geese there, and then snow geese. And we're convinced it's a portal. We're convinced that's where the geese go to fly. And it's a very, very interesting area. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Is that where they began to build a community, I believe there, looking for the word, because I believe, I forget the name of the lake, but I had to go there several years ago and did some energetic work there in preparation for this time, connected to Bashaw as well. Beautiful. Yeah.
Totally. Well, there's an electrical and energetic, some type of a reversal here. And I do work to not necessarily overcome it, but more be in it and understand it. It's kind of like fire, right? Like no one asks the fire, why are you burning, right? Like, okay, why are you reversed here? Why is this going on here? The Red Deer River is reversed, and the point it reverses at is the most northern point here in Black Faults. We kayaked it, and it was so obvious to me that it was man generated and man messed with. And so lots of questions here, lots of old world, pre this epoch, structures and lots of questions. And those will get answered. I'm not chasing them like I used to. It was becoming a bit of a distraction from my now, but that stuff is coming around, which is really, really exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the time, but of course, let's go on for a few more moments. But with this, if it resonates, can we get more into your connection to Prime Creator and any of the angelic and also the galactic realms? Do you have anything to share in respect with that, if I may?
Absolutely. So my relationship with Prime Creator came online, was known to me when I could understand my child, when I could understand my fool, my 0 point, my being. And when that came online, the divine masculine, like it all became more orderly. 2021 was the year I was praying about organize me, organize what's happening here. And then that came online in a deeper way. As far as galactic information goes and my connection, I get more cosmic than galactic energy. It's almost like I kind of scoop on over that. I get more of the cosmic rays, more of that energy. And like my magnetism as the feminine, like I consider myself a beehive. This is why my former timeline was messy, because like I'm a beehive. I like attract this stuff, right? And when my state is correct and accurate and appropriate for me, then I magnetize what I need, right? In my prior incarnation, I magnetized, well, what I needed, but at the time it seemed like what I didn't need. So that's my kind of relationship there. I'm not sure, it might be pre-verbal for me to be able to explain that. And I'm glad you asked me that question, because it does show me there's some areas where it's hard for me to put words. Like I got a quantum clock downloaded from the divine in 2020, and I still haven't found a way to explain it. So it stays kind of in the books, right? Because I don't know how to explain it.
Well, could it be, part of what you're saying is accessing the void of creation, perhaps? Would you identify with that?
Totally. And I became in touch with that in 2020, and I got to the void, and it was like, oh, okay. Okay. And it was so quiet and just black and peaceful. It was just me, single point of attraction. That was all that was there. And I could have been afraid. Like I felt that it could be there if I chose. But it was more respect. It was more, oh, what am I so worried about? Okay, let's go. Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're able to access that state of complete neutrality and peacefulness and harmony, and also to generate that state in your being. And as we know, this is a very important state for ones to achieve, what we can call the all that is or the void, whatever labels or identification features we wish to put on that actual very significant space of ones are introduced to as part of their creation. So you get sometimes ones get to the void. Okay, this is all that is. Now what? And however, what we wish to say, as you said in the beginning, there is more. This is your introduction to a creator space in the least. And as you empower yourself as you go along, then you're given more access to the reasoning, why, and the knowledge that it also entails as we advance through the levels. But this is your story, so I won't ramble.
No, it's all good. It's all good. One thing I didn't mention in my story that is actually semi-significant, I think, is after that near-death experience. stuff would just heal on my body like in a minute. I crushed a knuckle, 4 hours it was back. It was black and it was normal within 4 hours. I
Wow.
broke my ankle, 6 minutes it was done. Like I've had a lot of them, and just done, just done. One night my partner and I, because like I'm into experimentation, right? Like I'm not saying, I just love experimenting and trying new stuff. So in 2019 my girlfriend came over and she had stomach flu, and it's that nasty Norwalk bullshit, and I didn't want it, but I knew I had it. I knew I could feel the virus in me. So I just looked at my partner. I said, "You've got it too." That's another thing. I can tell what's wrong with someone just by looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "You've got it too." And so we laid and meditated for half an hour, and we were able to get the virus. It came out our eye. We didn't get sick. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so great. So that's like really exciting for me, because like my whole life was all about I can't do something because my body won't let me. And now my body's like, oh, you can do it all. And yeah, even if you break something or something goes wrong, yep, that'll get fixed. So I have a couple long-term projects going on that I'm healing with my body. And like, I just hope I'm just really hoping this happens. And because I just don't believe in medicine, modern medicine. I don't believe in any of that. And I've become, and I have been for decades, extremely disillusioned. And I recognize too, they're just experimenters too. And I don't want someone else experimenting with my body other than me.
Absolutely, yes. So you have accessed that very important, um, how would I put it? That very important space, and you have brought it with you back into the now, into your physical representation of what you are.
Yeah.
But it's also your spirit integration into the physical vessel that is allowing these beautiful, miraculous regeneration and healing of your physical vessel.
Totally.
And this is not human. It's not human-like in the old way, and so indicative of how we are advancing. But with that, I'll say one little thing is that upon achieving a certain level, these physical vessels you can keep alive, young, and well for 1 billion years if you wish.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And it has nothing to do with rules or whatever. Like, listen to yourself. Your body knows, like, my, of all the things people could judge about me would be what I eat. And I just eat whatever I want. That was the deal. And they're like, you will never, you don't ever have to restrict yourself. Eat whatever you want. And not a pound really has come back, other than I had to regain 30 pounds because every time I get below a certain weight, I leave the planet. So I had no idea that some of this bigness in me, this Viking build, was really imperative for my grounding. I had no clue, and I kept trying to like this, and every time I do it, you can see on all my life, flow, holy cow, I like literally go away. I do expect that to heal. I do expect that to change over time, but it doesn't matter anymore either. Like, I don't care. I don't care if I'm a size 8 or a 20. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, what's so important, what you're touching on, is the regulators that each of us use and the uniqueness of each of us.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that with the uniqueness, with what you just state, you eat whatever you wish. Now, in a contrast to that, I teach, only to be very conscientious and meticulous with your diet. However, when I teach this, this is for a certain audience that it resonates with. And of course, we have unique situations and variables outside of what I teach, and those are also important. And with this is why we say, if it resonates with you, then it's for you. However, we have other unique ones that are all part of the whole that, you know, they can eat whatever they wish. It has no effect. And it's what is absolutely correct for them. So we appreciate all abilities and all of the uniqueness as well. It's so
Totally.
great to hear this. Okay, do you have anything? Any closing profound moments you wish to share, or what have you, in the next 5 minutes? What were some of your most, you have given us a lot, of course. Are there any other beautiful, profound moments, if you will, if you wish to share?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, one thing that precipitated my 13 nights this summer was I got in touch with my mother's tears. I got in touch with the pain my mother went through in order to lighten the load in that timeline. My timeline carries tremendous karma. Not Ukraine, Mennonite immigrants from, which is now the Ukraine. Like, the karma is intense. And that was partly what I had to move through. And this bond with my mom, which I've never liked my mom. And now I understand it so much better. And I get her tears and I get her little moments where she chose this and chose that. It really helped me to really release all of that karma. And the 13 nights, what got revealed to me when I got home was I am Hathor, and I had to go to my final underworld to come up into this Horus type realm. And that's when I could start. And then, like 2 months after that, I woke up one day and went, I'm back. I'm here. It was like I had been gone. It was like I'd been gone for years. And my partner had lost so much trust for me, right? Because 3 years of disassociating, he didn't know who he had every day. And I get that. But he like started to see it. He goes, holy cow, like, what's going on? Like, it was good. And it just started building and building and building because I noticed it, and that's what I want to leave everybody with, I think, is notice your life. Notice what's going right. Notice what you can be grateful for. Like, we have no idea how good we have it. We have no idea how good, in a way, we have it. And it's just building on that gratitude of what you have and what's around you and what's inside of you that just keeps me moving in the direction and keeps my being full of grace. Because it really, at the end of the day, I got grace for me and grace for everyone else. And that's how I approach my life.
Oh, thank you, Alyson. Yeah, this is so beautiful, you're sharing. And we did this in approximately a half an hour, and as everyone can attest to, we could speak for hours and days on end, of all the beautiful experiences each has had. And yeah, and gratitude is one of the most important virtues next to love, and it is the empowering energetics. And it's so beautiful to recognize gratitude in this now as an equal to the love energetics and expressions as well. So
Totally. Well, the word love had really, sorry to interrupt, I won't make this long, but the word love had really messed with me. And then in 2019, it came through to me. Love is attention, but that wasn't complete for me. But love is attention plus gratitude. Like, that can overcome everything,
Indeed, it can, yes. And one thing with this is, again, you need to employ the virtue of patience with the love and set it in motion. Sometimes it may take a little longer, sometimes instantaneous, but be consistent, persistent in that belief and that knowing that it does persevere, indeed. And in this beautiful time we're in right now, the love is having more of an instantaneous effect on reality in every situation.
In every situation. I see it every day at my job. That's also why I took the job, so I could watch the energy and feel it. And now I know it doesn't matter who I meet that day. I'm meant to meet them. Great. Nothing scares me.
Absolutely. And with that, to add, you know, it's so important your positioning at that the store, because you are a divine, energetic being that is also emitting and projecting codes, physical or energetic codes, and you know that this affects everyone you come in to physical close proximity with physical contact with, and it is creating change as well,
It
and
is.
it's very powerful, and it's divinely orchestrated and oriented to be as well. As you know, your geographical positioning of every divine one is so important for the ones you come into contact with, and it's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much. This has been very satisfying for my soul to tell my stories. First time I've told it since I've woken up. And so
Uh,
really grateful.
and for that, we are also grateful, and I am as well. And I love hearing the stories and from everyone, and it's so important that we share them. And thank you so much, Alyson, for coming on and sharing this. And to share with you, it had to be you to be number two. We did Greg first, but you know, I have a list here, and you were on there, and each time I would ask Father, it had to be you. And when we look at today, impromptu, boom, you know, it occurred as well that it had to be you today to come on and share your story now. So it's so beautiful, and we're so grateful. And with that, love, light, and gratitude to you, Alyson, and everyone watching, and everyone that may watch in the future.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody. We love you guys. Love you from Alberta. And maybe I'll see some of you soon.
See you soon. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Have an amazing morning, day, or night.
For
Woo!